Welcome back to another one of our college football conference previews. We're going to move to the SEC, regarded as the best conference in football. They've had 7 or 8 now of the last defending national champions. No one has won outside the SEC since Texas way back in '06, and their heavy favorite in the West is Alabama to repeat as national champions.
I'd like them to win again this year. Alabama, I don't see them losing a game this year. The only thing is with the conference schedule. So the conference is so tough. It's going to be hard for them actually to go undefeated this year. Like I said, because the conference is so tough. You have teams like LSU, who we'll mention in a little bit, Texas A&M and Texas A&M. Again, we'll talk about them in a minute. But maybe one loss. But see, that one loss, that could be the difference between the BCS final championship game and not. But I like them winning the SEC this year.
Nick Saban, he's in his 7th year. He's gone 68-13 since he's joined the Crimson Tide and won BCS championship 3 of the last 4 years. The key returners on offense, they've got 6 of them. A.J. McCarron, the senior quarterback, was excellent last year. They had about a 5-to-1 ratio of TDs and interceptions. They had a big-time future first-round pick in Amari Cooper at wide receiver. T.J. Yeldon was excellent as a backup and looks to be another one in the great Alabama running backs. Cypress Kajanjo is a future first-round pick at left tackle, and Anthony Steen at right guard, also likely a first-round pick. 7 returners on defense, including 3 of their 4 linebackers, led by C.J. Mosley, Trey DePierce, and Adrian Hubbard. So they're going to be good. And then they got one of the best safeties, Clinton Dix. And that looks like another great recruiting class for the Crimson Tide. I also think that this team I think they're going to go undefeated in the SEC play. It's going to be tough, but I think they're going to do it. The big question will be who faces them in the SEC championship game, and how do they do in that rematch to Texas A&M this year. We'll move now to LSU, where Les Miles in his 9th year of the team. He's 85-21. He's won a title at LSU. So what do you think about the Tigers?
I think the Tigers are going to come second in the SEC this year. I like them to win 10 games this year. They're going to challenge Alabama, but I like them to come second this year in the division in the SEC.
Some interesting notes about the Tigers. They added Cam Cameron to be their offensive coordinator this year, so hopefully he can improve Zach Mettenberger, who was awful last year. The season depends on him. You know the team's going to be great on defense, but they lost 11 underclassmen to the NFL draft this year, and they have 2 new starters in the secondary. I like them to win just 8 games this year. I think it's going to be tough for them. They got Florida, Georgia, Alabama, and Texas A&M on the schedule. I think that's 4 losses for them. We move now to Texas A&M, where they have Kevin Sumlin. They went 11-2 last year. Obviously, the big player was Johnny Manziel, the Heisman Trophy winner. And any thoughts on the Aggies?
I think they're going to decline just a little bit this year. I got them winning 10 games. It's all going to be decided by Johnny Football. More people seem to be talking about his off-field antics right now than his on-field stuff.
Yes, partying everywhere, going to basketball games across the country. He even made it up to Toronto for 1 game. Another big point would be that they lost Luke Joeckel, their great left tackle, replacing him as last year's right tackle Jake Matthews. But no one was coming close to touching Manziel last year, and it gave him plenty of running lanes too. And the defense that loses 6 starters, I think they lose the Alabama rematch this year and go 11-1. And now we're going down to Mississippi, and we're going to start with Mississippi State. Dan Mullins, 5 years. In his 5th year now, 29-22 in his first year. Any thoughts on them?
Slightly above 500. I'll give him seven wins this year.
I agree, 7 wins, being bowl eligible again. Let's move to Mississippi, where Hugh Freeze is in his 2nd year out of Arkansas, after leaving Arkansas State after 1 year. They had a top recruiting class this year, but do you expect immediate results?
I don't think so this year. I think they're going to be near the division, the bottom of the division this year. I don't see them winning a 6-6 season be a success for them this year. I think they're going to be in around there 5-6 wins.
I agree. I think they won 5 wins. And now to the SEC team, the biggest splash in coaching hires. That would be Arkansas, as the Razorbacks hired Brett Bielema from Wisconsin. Bielema was 68-24 at Wisconsin in 7 years and led them to a couple of Rose Bowls.
I think this team's going to be good a couple of years from now. I think they're going to get back to where they were a few years ago. It's going to take a little bit of time for Bielma to put a stamp on the team. I have them going 500 this year, 6-6.
I agree. I think that Bielma finds a way to improve that running game like he did with Wisconsin and bring that down there. And I think they will get to 600, even 500, even though it is a stretch. But you have to think they can't be any worse than that John L. Smith-led team, which was just a disaster in his 1 year there after Bobby Paterno was fired. Let's go now to Auburn, where its first-year head coach Gus Malzahn. He, like Hugh Freeze, he left Arkansas State after 1 year. What do you think about the Tigers?
No, I don't like the Tigers this year. I remember years not that long ago they were right up near the top of the conference. I don't like them this year. I think they're going to be at the bottom of the division. 3-win total for the Tigers.
I agree. Let's go flip now. Let's go to the East. We're going to start off with Georgia. Mark Richt in his 13th year, 118 and 40 since he was named the Bulldogs head coach.
They're going to be the class of that side of the division this year. A lot of returning starters. I'd like them to win 10 games this year, and they'll win that side of the division.
I agree, 10 wins. They got a tough first week, and that's them playing Clemson, a battle of two very good senior quarterbacks, and Taj Boyd for the Clemson Tigers, and Aaron Murray, who I believe is the top SEC quarterback for the Georgia Bulldogs. They've got a two-headed monster at running back, Todd Gurley and Keith Marshall, both in their sophomore season. But the question is the O-line and the defense. The defense must replace 8 starters, including both safeties and 2 on the defensive line and 2 in the linebacking corps. 2 key ones in the linebacking corps in Jarvis Jones and Alec Ogletree. I think it's a 10-win team. And we move to Florida, where Will Muschamp is in his 3rd year. He's gone 18-8 in his 2 seasons. Any thoughts about the Gators?
I'd like them to have a good season this year. I think they're going to win 9 games this year. I think they're going to challenge for the division. But I like them to come second behind Georgia.
I agree. This is a team that lost to Louisville in a bowl game, and it really wasn't close. They got embarrassed, and they have a little bit of making. The conference is going to get on them for that loss. Muschamp's G's are always great. He's been one of the best defense coordinators in college football for a long time. The questions are going to be on offense, where second-year starter Jeff Driscoll has really no one to throw to, so that's going to be the big question mark heading into the season. Let's go to Steve Spurrier's South Carolina Gamecocks. He's in his 9th season leading the Gamecocks. He's gone 66 and 37, but the defense loses 7 of its top 10 tacklers from last season.
I like the Gamecocks to win 9 games this year. They have one of the Heisman favorites there on defense. I think it's going to be led.
That'd be Javian Clowney.
Clowney's, I think, the best defensive player in the country. I think he's going to be probably the first overall pick come April's NFL draft next year. I'd like him to win 9 games this year.
I agree with the 9-win total, but the big question for me comes on offense, where they have to replace Lattimore. Yes, he missed a bunch of games after another devastating knee injury, but you still have to replace one of the best SEC running backs. Then they have a quarterback, Connor Shaw, who I do not really like. I think he's been awful, and I don't think I have much confidence in his abilities. But I do think that defense finds a way to get them to 9 wins. We're going to continue with the SEC's smartest school, and that'd be Vanderbilt, led by James Franklin in his 3rd year. He's been 15-11 over the first 2. And QB Austin Corda Samuels started for Wyoming in 2010, but hasn't started a game since, so that'll be an interesting proposition. And they must replace leading rusher Zach Stacy. Any thoughts on the Commodores?
I like them to go anywhere from 6 to 7 wins. They're not going to challenge for the division, but they're going to be competitive this year. Like I said, anywhere 6-7 wins.
I think this team could get as high as 8 wins, but again, they just want to get to another bowl game. And we move to the Missouri Tigers in their 2nd year since moving from the Big 12. They're led by Gary Pinkel. In his 13th year, he's been 90 and 61 over those first 12 years. But this is a team that lost 2 of its stars on defense, including its best player last year, Sheldon Richardson, to the first round of the NFL draft. Any thoughts on the Tigers?
I think they're going to be lucky to go 500 this year. 6-6 win total would be a good season for them. I think you'll see better things to come from them in the next couple of years.
I agree. And we move to Tennessee, where the Volunteers are again hiring a new coach. Their third new head coach since they hired Lane Kiffin a few years ago. That's Butch Jones in his first year. He was 23-14 in his last stint. But what do you think about the Vols?
I think they're gonna suck. This isn't the Manning. Manning's not there.
This isn't the Filmer era anymore.
I think they're gonna suck, to be honest. No Colt McCoy. I think they're gonna win 4 games this year. They're gonna struggle. The one thing I like about the Tennessee Vols, though, is their jersey color. I like the orange.
Well, I think they're going to go 4-8. This team is a bad team where they're just going to be looking to win some out of conference games. And we move now to Kentucky, where they have one of the Stoops brothers head coach in them. That'd be Mark. He was hired after being Florida State's defensive coordinator 3 years ago. And he comes from a good coaching family. His brother Bob, of course, the coach of Oklahoma, and his brother Mike, the former Arizona head coach. Any thoughts on the Wildcats?
Don't like the Wildcats that much. The only thing good I like about Kentucky is the horse racing. At Kentucky, the Kentucky Derby. I think they're gonna struggle this year. I got them winning 3 games. That's it, Kentucky.
I think they can get up to 5. I really like the hire of Stoops, so we'll see what they can do. Be interesting to see what they do against Louisville too. And that is now our SEC preview. Hope you enjoy it.